So with Assassin's Creed Mirage, obviously most of the attention and care from the community has to do with the gameplay. Since it is supposed to be going back to the roots of the series, the gameplay is where it's most important. But going back to the roots also applies to the story. The structure and plot of Mirage is also a bit of a return to form. Obviously, for the first time in a while, we are playing as an assassin slash hidden one, you could say for the first time since Syndicate. I'm not really sure if Origins counts. Spoiler warning real quick for Origins here if you haven't played that. But I'm not sure if Origins counts because Bayek doesn't become a hidden one until the very end. I mean, technically Syndicate is still the last time we played as an actual assassin, since Basem is a hidden one, even though it's literally the same thing in almost every way except for the title. Ironically enough, I think Codename Red will have us play as an actual assassin in the Assassin's Creed for the first time since Syndicate. But the point is, Mirage has us playing as an assassin type character after playing essentially assassin adjacent characters in the last few games. So naturally the story is going to bring a heavy emphasis on the hidden ones and Basem's role as a hidden one. I personally really like Basem as a character. He was far and away my favorite character of AC Valhalla. I remember in videos back around when Valhalla released, I even said to me it would have made more sense to play as Basem as opposed to Eivor. And then I even suggested Basem get his own prequel game before Mirage was even a thing. So this idea of a story is something I've actually wanted to see since Valhalla came out. And these days, it's not too often in Assassin's Creed when you see a character appear in two different games, and it's certainly never happened where a character from a previous AC game then becomes the protagonist in the next game. We've kind of had prequel stories in Assassin's Creed before. I like to think of Rogue as a prequel to Assassin's Creed 3, but we've never had a situation like Valhalla and Mirage before. So obviously, like with any prequel, there are some things we know have to happen. Basem is still a part of the hidden ones in Valhalla. In the story trailer, you can see Basem has his doubts about the Brotherhood as several different characters question the tenets and beliefs of the hidden ones, but in the end, he is still going to be a hidden one for the foreseeable future. That we know is going to happen. We also know something, somehow, happens to Roshan, where she is for whatever reason not with the hidden ones anymore, courtesy of that free mission in Valhalla that came with the last chapter. So we know for sure that something is going to happen with Roshan by the end of Mirage. Whether that's because of Basem or another outside factor, no idea. But we do know that she's still not with Basem and the others in the hidden ones, otherwise we might have seen her with Basem and Hytham when they went to England. I think the popular theory is that in some way Basem will betray Roshan, which is certainly plausible, especially with Loki manifesting within Basem, but there is one caveat. Basem is still in the Hidden Ones, so if he were to betray Roshan, wouldn't other members of the Hidden Ones take issue with that and cast him out? Or maybe it's like a mutiny, Roshan becomes a poor leader, so Basem usurps her and takes over as mentor. That could be really interesting, and I'm curious how that dynamic would unfold since Roshan recruits Basem and had a big hand in making him the hidden one he is. So there's a lot of things that could happen, and I'm very interested to see how that all unfolds. I hope one way or another though, we do get to see Basem become Mentor by the end of the game. Another thing we can expect to see is hints of Loki. Now the developers already said they weren't going to focus too heavily on the Loki aspect of Basem, but I'm assuming that has something to do with this Jinn we keep seeing in all the trailers. It's like how Odin would manifest in those kill confessionals for Eivor, except for some reason Loki manifests Artemis in the form of a Jinn, or maybe this Jinn isn't even Loki, and it's instead one of Basim's past incarnations trying to warn him about Loki or something. Regardless, we should see Basim start to discover Loki at least. I can't imagine he's aware of it at the start, considering how terrified he looks here, but maybe we'll see that slowly progress throughout the story. Maybe there will even be a couple moments where Loki takes over. I'm almost thinking like the Nine Tails in Naruto. You know, he only takes over when Basim is in moments of extreme emotion, like rage. That could be interesting, because we did see Loki take over Basim when he discovered Eivor was the reincarnation of Odin. So maybe when Loki is angry, he gets more powerful and overwhelms Basim. Who knows how it really works, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see Basim be possessed by Loki at least once in this game. Again, I don't expect it to be too big of a focus, but rather something that's kind of lurking in the background. In the trailer, one of the characters even says he does not know what he is as they show the Jinn. So it seems some of the other characters may start to pick up on Basim's true nature. I'm very interested to see how that all plays out, and hopefully it'll even flesh out Basim's character more and allow us some extra insight into why he does the things he does in Valhalla. That's what a good prequel should do for its character. But as for the actual premise and main plot of the story, I'm intrigued. Basim's journey to becoming a Hidden One actually reminds me a lot of Arno's from Unity. He starts out as a street thief. I see a lot of people saying it reminds them of Aladdin, which actually feels kind of accurate. All Basim needs is a monkey sidekick, but then Basim is saved and recruited to the Hidden Ones by Roshan. Reminds me a lot of Arno at the start of Unity. He steals his pocket watch back, and he's recruited to the Assassins by Balek. The biggest parallel though, and the part that has me the most excited for Mirage's story, is getting to see a character join the Hidden Ones, train, and rise the ranks. I really loved getting to see a fully operational Creed in Unity, with tons of assassins, a council, all the different traditions. Just getting to see how a fleshed out Brotherhood operates was really cool to me. Even something as simple as being assigned targets by the council. It helped capture that feeling of being an assassin that I hadn't really felt at the time since AC1. Since in almost every game after AC1, the Brotherhoods are much smaller, scattered, and in many cases broken. In AC2, the Brotherhood was like a shell of its former self. In AC3, it was just Achilles. Black Flag had a fully operational Caribbean Brotherhood, but you weren't really a part of it until the end. We got to see a little bit of the Colonial Brotherhood in Rogue before you swapped sides, so we don't get to see a fully operational Creed that often, and so knowing that we're going to get to see Basim's full transformation into a Hidden One as he learns the tenets, partakes in physical training, and rises up to Master Assassin is something I'm very excited to see. There's bureaus throughout Baghdad. This Brotherhood seems to be fairly large. We're even gonna get to see Alamut and go there, which isn't going to be fully built in Mirage, but Alamut Fortress is such a massive part of the Assassin's Creed lore, and yet we've never actually seen it in these games. In fact, the novel Assassin's Creed was initially inspired by is called Alamut, where the fortress is heavily featured. Getting to actually see it is a big deal. The other part I like about following a character who's a fresh recruit into the Hidden Ones is that new players will hopefully get an understanding of what Assassin's Creed actually is and what it's about. Some people's first game in the series might have been Odyssey or Valhalla, and if they haven't played any of the other games, I'm sure they're very confused as to what the Assassin's Creed actually is. Mirage gets to serve as almost like a reintroduction into what the Assassin's Creed is. It'll serve as that reintroduction for new players, like how AC1 was the introduction to many of us. So it's only fitting that the game that's going back to its roots would be doing so with the storyline as well. Another big parallel between Arno and Basim that I put together during the story trailer was that both joined the Brotherhood as broken people. They want to be an assassin as a form to redeem or rebuild themselves. Roshan saying you're not the first person to walk the shadows broken or pour your pain into the Brotherhood is so true for nearly every protagonist of this series. A lot of these assassins are flawed people who join the Brotherhood as a means to better themselves and serve a higher purpose. That was by far my favorite part of the trailer. It actually gave me chills, and I think that idea of Bazum pouring his pain into the Brotherhood is going to be a heavy theme for the character in the story. That, along with Bazum questioning the rules and purpose of the Hidden Ones, again, another heavy theme that resonates with Arno and many other characters in this series. Bazum obviously won't pull a Shay, but I'm sure there will be some heavy moments of doubt. That was even a big theme with Altair in AC1. It's a big part of an assassin's journey. It even happened with Connor. So I think they have some good ideas and launching points for Bazum in this story, and I only hope the writers can deliver on them. But so far, I think it's very intriguing. I know a lot of us are focused on the gameplay, and that is incredibly important, but let's not forget the importance and impact of a good story as well. A big reason why those Ezio games are still considered by many to be the best in the series are because of those incredible stories each game had. A great story is what can elevate a decent game to a great game. If the story ends up being mediocre but the gameplay is good, I'm sure people will still like it. But if the gameplay is good and the story is great, then that obviously enhances the overall experience. Am I expecting this story to be an Ezio level story? Not necessarily, but how it's been described and what little we've seen of it and some of its themes and characters, I think has a lot of potential. But the story will be what it is, of course. There's not really any solid expectations that can be set. I only hope it'll be intriguing and engaging enough. Realistically, it doesn't have to be an amazing story for Mirage to be successful, so long as it's serviceable, but it certainly would help if it was amazing. Somehow, I don't think anyone would be complaining. But so far, I certainly think it shows signs of promise, and I will say this is a little bit unrelated, but I think they did a good job with the casting. I know there was some hesitation when we found out they were casting someone new to voice Bazum in Mirage. Carlo Rota voiced him in Valhalla, and I really liked his performance. I think he did a good job, but his voice definitely has a bit of grovel and age to it that I don't think would sound natural for a 20-something-year-old Bazum. Lee Majdoub is voicing Bazum in Mirage, and from what we've heard from him so far, his voice sounds good. It's strange, he obviously sounds different, but I think his voice is in the same sort of timbre as Carlo Rota's version, so it sounds completely believable that this is what Bazum sounded like 20 years prior. They did a good job casting there. And of course, Sharer Aghdashloo as Roshan, who's a legendary actor. They don't typically get more high-profile actors for Assassin's Creed. They've done that in Far Cry, but I was impressed they were able to get her for Mirage. She has a super distinct voice, and I'm excited to see more of the interactions between her and Bazum. I will also say Darby McDevitt, an incredible writer, and one of the few writers left at Ubisoft from the Ezio days. He was the lead writer on Valhalla and created Bazum, and while he's not lead writer on Mirage because he's working on the new AC game at Montreal, codename Hexy, he was still a consultant on Mirage, which definitely makes me feel more optimistic about this game's story and Bazum as a character. That's just me though. I'm very intrigued to experience Mirage's story. Let me know what you guys think. Are you interested to see some of these themes and characters play out? And do you think Mirage's story has potential? As always, if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you left a like and considered subscribing to the channel if you're new. And other than that, thank you for watching and have a phenomenal rest of your day, Assassins.